It is one of the world's most famous assassinations, but it might never have happened if the assassin didn't get hungry and stop for lunch. Hi, and welcome back to the Historical Crimes and Criminals podcast. I'm Steve, your host, and it's another History Bite episode. It's fair to say that we Brits, when it comes to food, tend to be magpies. And over the centuries, we've taken ingredients, recipes, foods, and embraced them. But some things are quintessentially British, and today we'll look at a few of these. To say my mother was an unimaginative cook would be akin to suggesting that Hitler wasn't really a very nice guy. For all of her otherwise wonderful qualities, meals were generally processed and came from a box. And of the couple of made-from-scratch meals, mince and potatoes, Scotch broth, and a beef curry, there was enough salt in these to pay a Roman legion for a month. Breakfast was just as imaginative. For a solid 10 years, I remember the spring and summer months being devoted solely to Weetabix. Every morning, except Sunday, where it would be a fried breakfast. The autumn and winter months would see porridge being slopped into a bowl with plenty of milk and a huge spoonful of sugar. And that old Scots debate of salt or sugar in the porridge was never any debate for me. No one wanted high blood pressure or hardened arteries by the ripe old age of 14. Oats had been introduced to Scotland around 600 AD and thrived in the hardy Scottish weather, mainly due to the fact it could be cultivated in the, quote, marginal upland soils, or, in layman's speak, bloody awful Scottish ground full of hills and poor soil. Porridge is considered a superfood now due to its many health benefits, and indeed, it's a dietary staple for many athletes. But it wasn't always considered so highly. Indeed, Samuel Johnson, the writer of 1755's Dictionary of the English Language, was perhaps the most disparaging. Quote, "Oats are grain which in England is generally given to horses, but in Scotland supports its people." There was for a long time a tradition in Scotland, amongst many, to have a porridge drawer. In this, a big pot of porridge would be poured in, let cool, set, and simply cut into slices. The drawer was also a convenient container, and, when closed, kept flies off. The system was especially useful for occupations such as shepherds, who, whilst out in the freezing wet fields minding flocks, would not always have the equipment, weather, or inclination to cook meals, but reached deep into their pocket, wrapped in some paper, they would have a meal. Doing porridge is a British saying meaning doing jail time. It refers to the diet prisoners would expect to receive during their sentence. And the archives of Inverary Jail in Scotland record that, during the 1800s, male prisoners received a strictly rationed 5 ounces of oatmeal with 3/4 of a pint of milk for breakfast each day. It remains a prison staple, although incredibly a Welsh jail banned porridge in 2018 on security grounds, after the jail management decreed it could be used to block door locks. Peas pudding is another British classic, and it's best known and well loved for its children's nursery rhyme, with the lines, "Peas pudding hot, peas pudding cold, peas pudding in the pot, 9 days old." Peas pudding is a savoury dish, made from boiled legumes, these generally being split yellow peas with salt and spices. When cooked, the best description is they have a similar texture and look to hummus, and it's usually served as a side dish to meat. Certain foods and drinks have protected geographical indication. We think of drinks like champagne, cognac, and tequila, and foodstuffs like gorgonzola, camembert, and the Melton Mowbray pork pie. Yum yum yum. I swear I could never be a guard at a pork pie factory. It would be like having a pack of pugs looking after their dog food factory. Cornish pasties date back hundreds of years, and they have this status. They account for 6% of Cornwall's food economy, and visit any Cornish town, it's not hard to see why. Every third shop sells these pasties. They are made by placing an uncooked filling, usually meat and veg, on one half of a flat short crust pastry circle. The other side is folded to wrap the contents in a semicircle design, and a crimped edge is formed, providing a seal and also something to hold on to once cooked. The beautiful rugged coast of Cornwall, home to many shipwrecks, was once the centre of the world's tin and copper production. From the early 1700s, 2/3 of the world's copper was produced in the Cornish mines, and over 2 million tonnes of tin was mined. During these times, approximately 25% of the Cornish population worked in the mines. And working down the mines, the workers needed an easy-to-carry, nutritious meal, and the pasty was the perfect food for this lunch. It could slip into a coat pocket and simply be carried. Meaty and calorie-dense, it could even be surprisingly versatile. One end of the pasty could be packed with meat, and the other end packed with a fruity dessert course, with both ends marked before baking. And the crimped edge? Working with tin would leave a residue of arsenic on your fingers. Being down a mine meant you couldn't wash your hands before a meal, but no problems. Just handle the crimp part and simply throw that part away to avoid a poisoning. The Cornishmen were skilled miners, and when the mines started to lose their place in the world economy, over 500,000 miners left Cornwall during the Great Migration after 1815. They would find themselves all over the world where mines operated, and during the California Gold Rush, whole gangs of Cornishmen were to be found, and these highly skilled miners were amongst the most sought after by professional mining companies. The abbreviation lunch is taken from the more formal Northern English word luncheon, which itself is derived from the Anglo-Saxon word nuncheon, meaning noon drink. The term has been in common use since 1823. And we again go into a history story that is mired with disagreements and various versions. But as I said in the very first episode of this podcast, if you can't find the truth, then tell an entertaining story. And on that note, some historians would say that it was lunch that started World War I. By 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand was the heir presumptive to the throne of Austria-Hungary. And for the majority of Bosnia and Serbia, Ferdinand was unpopular. They had been under Austro-Hungarian occupation since 1878. Gavrilo Princip was born in 1894 and was a Bosnian Serb. He was a member of a revolutionary group called Young Bosnia, who wanted to unify the states into Yugoslavia. And the group got its chance on the 28th of June 1914, as Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie would be visiting the Serbian capital, Sarajevo. And so, on that day, waiting along the potential routes, stood 7 revolutionaries. The first was Nedeljko Kabrinović, who saw the procession and took an opportunity to throw a grenade at the Archduke's car. However, the grenade had a 10-second fuse and it missed the intended target, bouncing off the car and exploding next to the 4th car in the procession, injuring some of the Archduke's officers. Kabrinović, to ensure he evaded capture, drank a vial of cyanide and threw himself in a nearby river. However, the cyanide was old and useless, and the river only 4 inches deep, and he was captured. Franz Ferdinand was rushed to the city hall and exclaimed, "Is this how I'm treated? With bombs?" The remaining conspirators, knowing they'd missed their chance, dispersed. Gavrilo Princip headed for Moritz Schiller's delicatessen on Franz Joseph Street. He ordered a sandwich and sat down to eat it. After his meeting, the Archduke decided on a change of schedule and to visit his injured officers at the hospital. His driver was unfamiliar with the streets of Sarajevo, and he mistakenly took a wrong turn into Franz Joseph Street. And by chance, he stopped just outside Schiller's deli, and he started to reverse, but stalled the car. By that point, Galvarro had looked up from his half-eaten sandwich, realised the situation, and approached the car with his gun drawn. And from 5 feet, he fired the first shot. The first shot hit the Archduke's wife Sophie in the abdomen as she'd instinctively tried to block her husband. She slumped back, and the second shot hit the Archduke through the jugular vein. Galvarro was then tackled by Smejl Spahović, a guard who threw himself at Galvarro before he could fire a third shot. Galvarro was arrested. The Archduke and Sophie were taken to hospital but pronounced dead on arrival. And inside Schiller's deli, the most important sandwich in the history of the world lay half-eaten on a table. Following the Archduke's death, events spiralled, with Austria-Hungary declaring war on Serbia, which in turn resulted in both sides' allies declaring war on each other, resulting in World War I, at that time the biggest war the world had ever experienced. The 7 conspirators were sentenced to prison terms, but Princip and Kabrinović did not live long, as both had been suffering from tuberculosis. Kabrinović died in 1916 and Princip in 1918. Many historians dispute the sandwich part, but let me leave you today with a true fact. The yeomanry warders of the Tower of London are also known as beefeaters, as in the 14th century they would have roast beef served every Sunday. Well, that's it for another episode of the Historical Crimes and Criminals podcast. Thanks for listening. Please remember to subscribe, tell your friends, pump it out there on social media, and till next time, bye bye.